Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, we're uncovering two of the rarest and most valuable United States Washington quarter-dollar coins that could be hiding in everyday pocket change. One of these coins might be worth far more than its face value, so stay with us until the end. You won't want to miss these incredible discoveries. First coin 1951, U.S. Lincoln Wheat Cent, 1-cent coin, may look like nothing more than a small piece of copper-colored history, but beneath its worn surface is a story that began during one of the most fascinating periods of American coinage. Struck more than 7 decades ago, this Lincoln cent carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the words Liberty and In God We Trust surrounding his profile, while the reverse displays the iconic 2 wheat ears framing 1 cent and United States of America. At first glance, it seems ordinary, familiar, almost forgettable, but the closer you look, the more questions begin to appear. The 1951 Lincoln Wheat Cent was produced during an era when the classic wheat reverse was still part of everyday American commerce. Philadelphia struck 57,500,000 examples without a mint mark, while Denver produced 57,500,000 with the D mint mark, and San Francisco produced 31 million bearing an S mint mark. That means the 1951 date itself is not automatically rare, and this is where the real mystery begins. Collectors aren't simply searching for the year 1951. They're searching for the unusual examples hiding inside that enormous population of ordinary cents. Imagine pulling one from an old jar, a forgotten drawer, a family collection, or a box of inherited coins. The first thing that catches your eye might be the reddish-brown surface, the sharpness of Lincoln's hair, or the remaining detail in the wheat stalks. A heavily circulated example may show flattened lettering, soft wheat lines, and darkened copper, while a remarkably preserved specimen can display much stronger detail and traces of its original red coloration. That difference in preservation can transform the collector's interest in the coin, because condition is one of the most important factors separating an everyday wheat cent from a truly desirable example. Then comes the mint mark, and this tiny letter can completely change the conversation. A 1951 cent without a mint mark indicates Philadelphia production, while a small d identifies Denver and an S identifies San Francisco. The mint mark should be examined carefully rather than assumed from a blurry photograph or damaged surface. Collectors also pay close attention to the date, because old cents can suffer from scratches, corrosion, polishing, or other damage that creates the illusion of unusual lettering. What appears to be a rare mint error may sometimes be nothing more than post-mint damage, and that distinction is critical. The real excitement begins when you start looking for legitimate minting abnormalities. On a coin from this era, collectors may investigate possible doubled lettering, unusual die characteristics, repunched details, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, or other errors that occurred during production. But a strange-looking letter does not automatically mean the coin is a major error. True doubling should be examined for consistent secondary design elements rather than random scratches or flattening, while an off-center strike should show evidence that the displacement occurred during minting. The more convincing the evidence, the more serious the collector interest can become. Weight is another important clue. A genuine 1951 Lincoln cent was struck in the traditional bronze composition used for Lincoln cents of that period, so an unusual weight can raise questions about the planchet, damage, or authenticity. A digital scale capable of measuring to a fraction of a gram can provide useful preliminary information, but weight alone cannot prove that a coin is rare. Metal color matters too. Original copper-red surfaces, brown tunning, dark oxidation, cleaning, and artificial color can all tell different stories. Never scrape, polish, or chemically clean a potentially valuable cent simply to make its surface look brighter. Strike alignment and rim shape can reveal even more. Look around the entire perimeter for an unusually broad rim, missing design details, an uneven edge, or evidence that the planchet was improperly centered during striking. Rotate the coin and compare the orientation of the obverse and reverse rather than judging alignment from a single photograph. If letters appear thicker or doubled, use magnification and strong lighting, but remember that wear and mechanical damage can mimic mint errors. In the world of error coins, patience is often more valuable than excitement, because one mistaken conclusion can turn a fascinating discovery into an expensive disappointment. And now comes the question that makes every old coin hunt suddenly feel different. What could a coin like this actually be worth? An ordinary circulated 1951 wheat cent generally belongs in a very different value category from a certified, exceptionally preserved, or genuinely rare error example. But for storytelling purposes, imagine a ladder of increasingly unusual discoveries. A minor but interesting variation might inspire an illustrative $2,500 to $3,500 scenario, while a significantly more notable authenticated example could be imagined around $9,000. These figures are not promises or typical values. They represent hypothetical market outcomes for extraordinary coins with the right combination of rarity, condition, authentication, and collector demand. Move higher up that ladder, and the possibilities become even more dramatic. A high-grade example could be presented in an illustrative $5,000 scenario, while an unusual mint anomaly might reach a hypothetical $6,000 level. A rare collector piece could be imagined around $7,500, and an exceptionally preserved or uncommon example might enter an illustrative $8,000 scenario. At that point, this little 1-cent coin no longer feels like pocket change. It begins to resemble a sudden windfall, perhaps even the kind of unexpected money someone might compare emotionally to a down payment on a home. But again, these are illustrative figures, never guaranteed prices, and real transactions depend heavily on the exact coin. The latter can climb further when rarity and demand collide. An unusual authenticated discovery with strong collector interest could be imagined around $8,500, while an extraordinary or historically significant example might be placed in a hypothetical scenario approaching $9,000. Yet the important lesson is that a high number should never be attached to a coin merely because someone sees a dramatic photograph online. Auction results, certified grades, error attribution, provenance, eye appeal, and buyer competition can all influence the final price. A spectacular headline can create excitement, but professional evaluation is what separates an exciting possibility from a defensible valuation. If you believe you found something unusual, resist the temptation to clean it, bend it, scratch it, or experiment with chemicals. Photograph both sides under good lighting, record the weight, inspect the rim, study the mint mark, compare the lettering, and look for genuine evidence of doubling or a striking abnormality. Then consider having the coin examined by a reputable numismatist or submitted to a respected professional grading and authentication service when the potential value justifies the expense. Professional authentication matters because counterfeit coins, altered dates, artificial tunning, damaged surfaces, and misidentified varieties can fool even enthusiastic collectors. And perhaps that is what makes the 1951 Lincoln wheat cent so captivating. Most examples will never become spectacular treasures, and that reality makes the truly exceptional discoveries even more fascinating. Somewhere between ordinary pocket change and a once-in-a-lifetime discovery lies the possibility that one tiny piece of bronze has survived with an unusual error, remarkable preservation, or historical character that collectors desperately want. The next time a wheat cent appears in an inherited collection or forgotten container, don't dismiss it simply because it looks old and familiar. Because the biggest mystery may not be whether the coin is worth something. It may be whether you've noticed the one detail everyone else overlooked. And just when you think you've learned everything this little 1951 cent can reveal, imagine another old coin sitting silently in a drawer, untouched for generations, waiting for someone to notice a strange mint mark, an impossible-looking strike, or a tiny detail hiding beneath decades of wear. Maybe the next discovery won't be worth thousands at all, or maybe it will be the kind of coin that changes everything. That's the suspense of coin hunting. Treasures can hide in everyday places, and sometimes the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprise. The question is, when the next shocking coin finally lands in your hand, will you recognize what you're looking at before someone else does?